Hi, everybody. It is getting later and later every night. A bit better, a little bit better. We'll see. Or, really, you have to look at this positively because, you can always, this is recorded and you can always watch it at any time. And when I'm coming on late, you know that we've had discussions with government officials and law enforcement, whistleblowers. And so it's good news. If I come on really early, maybe not so much is going on, and that would be bad news. So here we are, coming on a little later, and wow, it's just, I'm just getting all these messages on my phone right now. And it's really, I have so much to tell you, and I'm going to start with playing. Um, see if I can get on here, make sure everything's working.
Discussions.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on so late. Um, it's just we have just so much to tell you, and of course, it's about our son who in 2020, July 2020, was forcibly removed from his barracks room there. And this is day 2020. Okay. This is day 2020. And in 2020, he was forcibly removed from his barracks room. He was under whistleblower protection, but that protection didn't show up that day, and he was forcibly removed. They took him downstairs to the basement room, the arms room. It is a soundproof room, and they took his life. And this was a code red. That means that the prime suspects are those that are in the military, CID, his platoon leader, DES Thomas Kane, his chain of command. They, not everyone, but that this was a code red, okay? And that the cover up was also, um, when you have Donna Martin, the provost marshal, lieutenant general, coming out of uniform in a meeting where you have over 15 representatives from 15 over 15 agencies, international, and then you have all the tampering and everything, and they lie to you. They're not even in uniform. They don't even have a an op board. You know that this is an inside job. This is an inside job. And so why? What was the motive? Why would they uh, go to such lengths to use the cartel? Ray Velarde, uh, the lawyer for El Mayo, being sent in to be counterintelligence to Richard to be his handler, and then the military doing all this dirty work, and of course, having the media to do the dirty work. And uh, today was just an amazing day because, we've been right all along. Richard was absolutely whistleblowing on this Jeffrey Epstein, John of God pipeline connected criminal trafficking and child sexual exploitation, and the basis connection to the Walmart mass shooting. Okay, so this would unravel this Iran-Contra 2.0. right? On steroids. It's Iran-Contra on steroids 2.0. Okay. And if you don't know what Iran-Contra is, just very briefly, and I'm not, an expert on it, but I'm old enough to remember what was going on, and it was involving El Paso, it was involving Fort Bliss, it was involving the reservists, using the reservists to bring cocaine into the United States and then moving weapons over to the Contras. And Khashoggi, I think his name is, um, was the CIA middleman, right, for it all. Well, today, it has been confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein was his associate, was his financial fixer, was the one that knew how to money launder, hide this money, embezzle it, whatever. There in 1983, okay, in 1983. And of course, I was in Texas in 1983. Okay, yeah, I was Thanksgiving performing for the Dallas Cowboys, right? That yeah. So I remember what was going on in 1983, and since 1983, um, Khashoggi and Jeffrey Epstein were under surveillance by the CIA. Um, And in 1993, Jeffrey Epstein bought Zorro Ranch. Okay, so this didn't end. This didn't end. Um, when you have the government involved in things like this, what does it take to really get a cleanup job, right? Some justice, some accountability, and a cleanup job, so that it's not just a a cover-up job and, maybe some patsies in there, um, just to placate the population so that they could keep running it, right? And not only running it, but putting it on turbo force, and now we have in our son's investigation, the discovery that it's like Iran-Contra. And this has been, we've been saying this, and I've put it out there publicly. We've been calling it an Iran-Contra 2.0. And today's the day that it was corroborated, what we had been discovering. And it, but I didn't have Jeffrey Epstein on my bingo card. As they're saying today, um, I I didn't put that together, but because Jeffrey Epstein was into other things as well, right? And and I know that the reports are out that he wasn't with the criminal trafficking, that he and they're closing down the case or whatever. Well, the reports are that he's not alive anymore, but some reports say he's alive. I don't know. Because, like I just said, what does it take to have a real cleanup job, a real accountability? Um, I don't know. I don't know. But I have this great faith, and you don't mess with God. He's the heavyweight champion. He's no buttercup, right? As Odo Scott said, he's no buttercup. God's no buttercup, and you just can't mock God, and God holds them in derision and laughs at them. So, my faith is it is going to be a cleanup job in God's timing, and they will be held accountable in God's timing. And I think that Jeffrey Epstein knew that. I think he knows that or knew that. And so, what he was using his wealth for, and ill gotten, right? dirty money, as Steve Bannon called it. You know your money's dirty. In the interview, you know your money's dirty. You have dirty money, right? And what was he using his dirty money for? Well, we know that he funded this laboratory in Santa Fe, that he was funding research. And we just got a document, and I haven't even had time to post it, to prepare a post. But I will tell you this, that in this document, he was looking for um, uh, something to live forever. This transhumanism, a lot of experiments on the brain, a lot of experiments on regeneration, right? Regeneration, in order to live forever. Because, he didn't he didn't want to meet his maker. One of his friends in this document, um, that we just received, was saying that Jeffrey Epstein didn't have DNA that had guilt. No guilt in his DNA. As I read it, I'm going to read it more carefully, but like, and of course that's what I've been talking about with Freud. Um, Freud was, his whole mission was to get rid of guilt. That was his whole mission, and of course he was also perverted. But his whole mission was, if we can just get rid of guilt, so let's create a couch. Let's create a couch, and let's create a man to listen to, and whatever the problems are, and we'll blame, the parents, or we'll blame whatever and get rid of your guilt. It's not your fault. It's not your fault that you're a screw up. It's not your fault that you made a wrong decision. It's not your fault that you're perverted. It's not your fault. And that has really entered in our psyche. That has been a mind control. Um, and that is one of the main reasons why it's so hard to do a cleanup job and get accountability, because, we think that, whose fault is it really? Whose fault is it really? We're always, which is so Freudian, right? It's so Freudian. Instead of saying, okay, yes, you're the one that shot that person, or you're the one that stole that, or you're the one that messed with your neighbor's wife or husband or whatever. You're the one that did it. You have to take responsibility. Our culture doesn't want to take the responsibility for actions, because we've just become so Freudian. We want to blame everything. We've been too long on the couch instead of in the confessional, right? In the confessional, on our knees to God, right? And you can say, oh, they're a priest in the confession. It could be an empty confessional. To absolutely, confession is a sacrament. It's to God, and it is epistemological self-consciousness. And this is going to get a little bit theological, right? Because that's what this is all about. It's about the fight between good and evil, and to have epistemological self-consciousness, right, means that you have to know yourself, right? You have to know that, seen and unseen, I've done some things I shouldn't have done. Or maybe I don't even know what I've done that I shouldn't have done, right? Because it's the unseen. And we have to confess those things, meaning, it's a contrite and a humble position before God, knowing that we don't know everything. We don't know everything. And therefore, we're not fit to use our dirty money to experiment and research, um, using babies, okay? um, committing all kinds of crimes against God, right? Against really all of the trafficking, all of the baby trafficking, all of this seeding, all of this, um, the crimes against the family. And anytime you have crimes against the family as God has defined it, then you're committing a crime against God, right? And so all of this, I've got to put my seed in all of these women, there's no marriage involved here. There's no promises to the child. There's no loyalty to the child. It's all an experiment, right? It's all to get a proper DNA. It's all to get in order to take that DNA and then research on it in a laboratory to somehow find a regeneration gene, a regeneration, and I'm not sure I believe in DNA, y'all. I mean, I've looked into this, and I don't know, something's really fishy with the whole thing. But to produce the ability to regenerate, like a lizard's tail, right? Like a lizard's tail to regenerate so that whatever happens to you, you can live forever and ever. On your terms. You can do the most despicable things and still, with the right amount of money, with the right amount of research, you could find this fountain of youth that you can, have an elixir to live forever. And it doesn't matter how many people, you hurt, how many people, you take the life of, what you do to babies, what you've done to the family, the unseen, what you have done that you don't even know what you've done. And Jeffrey Epstein absolutely has unseen sins. Since he doesn't even see, he doesn't even realize the harm that he has done. And, but God sees all things. And, so he's just a creature, and he's afraid of a creature, the devil, because he is a devil. So he's afraid of himself. And so, what his friend was saying, oh, he doesn't even feel guilty. No, he was just evil. He was just evil, and he was breaking God's law. That's what he was doing. And that's why he thought, oh, he was a rogue. He was a rebel against God. And his friend was like, oh, he doesn't have a guilty gene in his body, right? He doesn't have he doesn't feel guilty. No, he's just doesn't have epistemological self-consciousness, right? Um, and he absolutely feels guilty. Otherwise, he wouldn't spend a fortune and do the most despicable things. And, the fortune is not just with the laboratory, right? It's not just with the researchers, right? It's with protecting that. The cost of protecting that research, that pipeline from John of God all the way up to Zorro Ranch, from Brazil's Zorro Ranch, all around the world, in order to protect trying to um, play God, right? He had to have a police force, an army to guard him, right? That costs a lot of money. That costs a lot of money. He has to compromise military bases. He has to compromise uh, generals. He has to compromise government officials. He has to compromise world leaders. He has to compromise. I mean, this is what he's doing, right? And of course, some of those leaders are in on it with him and are helping to finance all of this. And then part of it is also um, to compromise people, the population, so that they are not outraged if they find out any little piece of this puzzle. So let's bring in the cocaine, let's bring in all the other drugs, let's bring in Hollywood to do Sex in the City, right? Let's do that. Let's destroy the family so there's no protection. Let's feed into the predators. Let's, create a lot of predators and let's feed them. Let's feed them with all this trafficking, with all these children, so that we can control and compromise judges and compromise. And let's promote perversion, right? Perversion. So we can just compromise everybody so that they're looking at all these other things and not looking at me trying to act as God in the Santa Fe laboratory, trying to do whatever I need to do to find this elixir to regenerate me so I can live forever and never be held accountable because my guilt is so deep, so broad, so just eating at me so much that I have to be a rebel against God, right? Which is a rebel against death, and never have to face my maker for everything that I've done. And I just have to live forever, right? I mean, this is what's kind of coming out, right? This is what's coming out. Um, and he said, yeah, he was a human. Okay. He was a monster human. And I'm going to get to all of the comments in a minute. I just want to complete all of my thoughts because I have to play part of that protection, right? And part of that protection, of course, we know it's military, guns, drugs. Um, I would even say the medical industry. We saw that in 2020, 2021, the whole medical um, and research community lying to us, right, about the whole COVID thing, lying to us uh, uh, about the extreme of this, that they closed down the whole world, right? That um, except for Sweden. I think Sweden didn't close down. There might be some other places, but yeah, they just wanted to close down everything. Um, to mask us, to shut us up, to make us afraid to talk, to make us not meet with our parents because our parents and our grandparents have wisdom that they can share with us. Um, they just were just interfering because the investigations were getting too close. And part of the investigations included our son, Richard Halliday, the Fort Bliss whistleblower soldier, who was a witness, who was a uncompromised witness, a stellar soldier that did not fall for their what did he call it? Whores and blow, right? He didn't fall for that. And so he could report and he could be a reliable source, a reliable witness. Not only that, but he was uh, had the honor to be the distinguished honor graduate number one in his class for basic training and AIT. And so that gave him credits, right? That gave him um, reliability credits, right? Like, oh my gosh, this is a stellar soldier. He's been making his rank ahead of the other soldiers. He was number one in his class. Um, you know, he's clipping out of college credits. He's, you know, and so he was really uh, attacked and had to be smeared, right, to make people look the other way. And of course, El Paso Matters was the agent, the attack dog for that. They were the agent, and that post is still up there, even though we've put in a cease and desist, uh, and are still. Um, well, today was a very good day because a journalist named Martin Paredes from elpasonews.org posted up a article a couple days ago on the liars, the liars uh, at El Paso Matters, especially Bob Moore, and revealed that he has been lying about, being the owner of El Paso Matters. He's not. El Paso Matters is controlled by El Paso Community Foundation. And we've been saying that for a long time. We're very ahead of any of the news cycles, right? We're very ahead. And so this corroborated what we've been saying, that El Paso Community Foundation controls El Paso Matters. And that's a problem for us because El Paso Matters is has a tax exempt status, right? They get taxpayer funds, right? They get privileges, and yet they are a political attack machine, and they attacked our son. They targeted our son. They attacked our son. They attacked our family, and so this is really important that this is all being corroborated now. And the Casiano case being dismissed is, I think that was the linchpin for these articles. And I want to play you a phone call between Gabriela Casiano and Bob Moore. And I think it is really important. So let me see if I can make it happen. I just need to do that. And let me know if you can hear it because I think it's really important. Here it is.
Hello?
Hi, Ms. Castellano. This is Bob Moore from Paso Matters. Mr. Valenzuela gave me your phone number and said that I could give you a call to talk about the dismissal of the charges against you and your husband and Mr. Barrera. Is that okay with you?
Yes, and I want you to quote me. Okay, so I will never give you a statement. You are a biased political operation who destroyed people's lives and livelihoods, including ours. Everything you published about us was libelous and slanderous. We have no faith in your reporting. It was all malice by you. You cost me my livelihood.
Okay.
Quote that.
Can I talk to you and ask you questions about?
I already told you. I will not give you a statement. I will not answer your questions. Before all this started, you didn't reach out for us to find the true story. You missed out on this story, on a story that is worse than you can imagine. I do not wish to speak to you any longer. Do not call again.
Wow. Okay. So that is what El Paso Matters is. They are liars. And I want everyone to understand the damage that they do to people's lives, and also to the justice system. Because when you have a publication like El Paso Matters or El Paso Inc., and you're publishing this kind of garbage, these attacks, right? Those articles are used in the court of law, okay? So it is not just that they're just saying it. Those become um having those kind of licenses, they become like a reliable source, and they're used in courts, and they're also used by AI search engines to say, oh yeah, this has been reported on, so this is how it is. And so when you ask Alexa, when you ask Siri, when you do a search, they will consider these articles that are absolutely lies and attacks, um, using false witnesses, or even using um, convicted criminals that are called out as being part of prime suspects in Richard's case, like Leilani Hart. Bob Moore used Leilani Hart as a reliable source, right? And she's a prime suspect in the murder of our son. So, well, I mean, just wrap your head around that. It takes a little bit to understand, because that means that Bob Moore is in on all this, right? And we have proof that he was in on this before Richard even died, and targeted our son. It, so this is a liar. This is a liar that has a tax exempt status. If you have a liar that has a tax exempt status, that means they're a tax cheat. Okay? I want to say that one more time. If you are a liar and you have a tax exempt status, that means you are a tax cheat. Okay? A tax cheat. That's in simple terms. And so this is really good news today, that a reporter had enough guts, because El Paso Matters, of course, is controlled by El Paso Community Foundation. And I posted that up. And this is an elite group. This is the Mormon faction El Paso cartel that have control over El Paso Matters, that Bob Moore does the attack dog stories for. Okay? This is the security team that protects the pipeline. So I hope, and I try to put the map together. You have Jeffrey Epstein being an associate since 1983 with Khashoggi, Adnan Khashoggi, the Saudi Arabian middleman for the CIA that was bringing cocaine into the United States and trafficking weapons and whatnot, right? And Jeffrey Epstein's his fixer, his financial fixer, right? And they are needing protection. Not the type of protection that Charlie Kirk got, okay? Not failed security. They need big time security. And that pipeline runs from Zorro Ranch through White Sands Missile Range, Fort Bliss, into Mexico, cartel area, down to Cuba, over across to Cuba, to Haiti children, Dominican Republic, to then Puerto Rico, who now we have the ex-governor, former governor, singing, making the plea deal, right, for for a pardon, right there by Venezuela, but also by the island of Jeffrey Epstein. And then you have Brazil with the likes of John of God, whose disciple is the father of Patrick Crucius, the shooter in the Walmart mass shooting that is related to Michael Mayella, the family that's in the elite group of the judicial and law enforcement community in El Paso protecting Jeffrey Epstein's pipeline, and not so much only the pipeline, but his ability to do the mad scientist experiments that are the most disgusting things you ever want to know to get some kind of ability, elixir, whatever from it, so that they never have to meet their maker. That's what's going on here. And this includes Fort Huachuca, right? Because Fort Huachuca is the signal that protects the airspace, but also is the mind control, the asymmetric warfare tactics that do the mind control on you so that you're not paying attention, right? And that's why they're very in control of like Disney and Hollywood and NASA and all this, because they're trying to distract you from this mad scientist that would provide the billionaire club, not all of them, but who's ever part of this hope, this, you know, to relieve their fear because of all the evil that they've done, that they've seen, but they have done evil that is unseen, that they don't even know about. And they don't even go to confession. And when you go to confession, you confess what you know you have done wrong, and also what you don't know that you did wrong, that you did wrong. And you ask for forgiveness. You ask for both the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown. That's what humility is. It's this knowing, epistemological self-consciousness, knowing that we don't know everything. And this group wants life eternal on their terms. On their terms. But we have to go through, we've already got, we have already, God has already accomplished eternal life. Death is already conquered, but it's on his terms. We still have to die to this body, right? This body still has to die in order to face God, to have eternal life. Because eternal life is nothing without being in the presence of God. So they're missing the boat. You can't have eternal life without the presence of God. They're just missing the boat completely because they're in such guilt, such a quagmire. And, people say, oh, no, they don't feel guilty. They're just so evil. No, no, no. It is eating at them so bad. It eats at them day in and day out. And, this is what is very refreshing about just this like prayer, morning breakfast prayer meeting that President Trump and I don't know if this is all true, but this is how it was presented in by him, by his own words. He said, I came in late. It was like, what, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was told I had to speak at the prayer meeting. And I asked, what time is a prayer meeting? Oh, it's at 7 o'clock you speak. Oh, okay. I've got to do it. I'm afraid not to do it. I'm afraid not to do it. And he goes to the prayer meeting, and that's what he tells the people there that morning. I'm here because I'm afraid not to do it. And I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to stay moral because I'm afraid not to. Now, I don't know if that's just narrative, but I don't hear anybody else as far as a world leader saying that. Do you? And I think it's a good message. And behind the scenes, I want to let everyone know that accountability is happening. And I think that this is why Martin Paredes of El Paso News.org put this article, and then there was a response, and put another article out there with the tax documentation proving that El Paso Community Foundation controls El Paso Matters. And we're very grateful for that because the media lies. The media control over us. Not only that, but then you have the asymmetric warfare. And I can tell you this from experience from our first CAO, from the PAO, from the public affairs officer, from Stars and Stripes, Rose Thayer. I can't even forget these people because what they were doing was a smear tactic, a public psyop, so that people wouldn't care about our son and his heroic stand against this Jeffrey Epstein security team, right? The security team, the Mormon faction El Paso cartel that had infiltrated into our country, into our system, into our military. And you know, it's just shocking even to say it, right? But it absolutely is coming all together to understand the level of compromise in order to protect this. And I don't even know if some of these people that are compromised understand what they were protecting. They were given a job to do, and they were willing to do a compromised job, but did not. I don't think all of them understood what they were, what was really going on in those laboratories, in this transhumanism, and all of that. So let me read your comments now. And I did want to, and do I think that Sean Bernabe now got word? This was in December of 2025. So, it's been weeks now. I wish I would have known right away, but he did retire. 56 years old, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. And, that just, look, we're a military family. You do not make rank as quickly as he made rank because he's so dirty, so compromised. So he's the face of evil, y'all. He's such a face of evil. It's just he's what he did. I mean, I don't even mind putting up the poster, the wanted poster, because there's a pile of evidence and his actions that rise up to that claim, to that fact, the big T word. You know, the one where he has to absolutely have the death penalty on the table for doing the betrayal of his oath, America, his soldiers. Anyway, this really terrible I mean, oh gosh, I'm just waiting for justice with him. Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe retired December 2025 at the age of 56 after making rank very quickly, after getting all these cushy jobs and getting all of the benefits of all of our support for the military, right? Full benefits on everything. Our beautiful uniform, our beautiful stars, all the security of that position. And and he just spit on us, you know? He just the level of betrayal is so bad. I don't even think that really describes it. I'll let y'all help me describe the level of betrayal that Sean Cardona Bernabe, absolute connections to the El Paso area. But he retired, 56 years old. Something's up. Good news then, um, that he is, and I said it for so long, he should not be in charge over any of our volunteer sons and daughters. No way. And so that's good news. Now he's looking for a job. And I just want to put out the message. Please share that post. It needs to be shared to millions and millions because nobody should hire him. Nobody. He's not he's not fit. He's not fit. He's fit to be prosecuted. Okay. Fit to be prosecuted. Because don't forget that he oversaw the emergency intake center on Fort Bliss, White Sands, that had 10,000 beds. It's reported 500,000 children being trafficked and the most horrific things done in that emergency intake center under his command. Now, think about this. Jeffrey Epstein had been arrested. Zorro Ranch was closed down. John of God had been arrested. The pipeline had endured major hits. Major hits. But just because those are major hits doesn't mean that there weren't entities that wanted to preserve that pipeline. Okay. These are, you know, now the Santa Fe laboratory might have been, I don't know if it was closed down, when it was closed down. I don't know when this research was closed down. If it was when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested, I don't know. But in order to protect that research, very evil Frankenstein type research, they created a very predator criminal trafficking network. And those predators demanded children. And so Sean Bernabe is, he needs to be prosecuted. He's a civilian now. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing behind the scenes, but it tells you that we've been effective because he retired. And that's good news. And that's because of you. That's because the post I put up about him, gosh, it's probably, I don't know how many, it might be 2 years old, had millions of views. Millions. And that's because of you. Because we're shadow banned, So every time you share, and I don't monetize, I don't make a dime off of this. Um, and and I, people have told me I would go further if I monetize, because if you monetize, they will promote you. But then you're so restricted in what you can say. You have many more restrictions. And so I just want to give you the truth, and but um, but I count on you to share to other platforms, to share with everyone without fear, because these monsters, um, gosh, uh, they can be intimidating, right? And they do such terrible crimes, and we are in danger. But if we don't confront them, they just get bigger and they get more evil. So, and that's what happened with this Iran-Contra 2.0. They got bigger and they got more evil. And so, thank you for sharing. Thank you for following this page and the other pages that I try to service. Uh, yeah, it's thank you so much. It is, we're just overwhelmed with gratitude because millions of people are viewing the content that we're putting up, and we're being proved right every day, like today, about El Paso Community Foundation and its control over El Paso Matters, about Sean Bernabe, about Jeffrey Epstein, about Iran-Contra. And let's see if I missed anything else, because today, oh yeah, about and I'll put that up, about the elixir, the searching for, or researching, not searching, but researching and conducting, what kind of experiments, I don't even want to know, in order to try to get some kind of regenerative formula. Then what he was saying to Steve Bannon, and I'll get to all your comments, what he was saying to Steve Bannon is that once they got it, they would turn it into a financial instrument. They would digitize it, meaning they would put it to mathematics, right? He's a financial fixer. So he wanted to financially fix this magic potion. He wanted to turn it into a financial instrument, digitize it. And, I can't tell you that I understand it. I just know that that's what he said he wanted to do. So, so somebody that understands those things better, please leave a comment and absolutely uh, let us know. So let me read through these. I think that is what was happening today. It's just been so busy. I did put up um, that John of God has no education. Okay. Like he has a 2-year education. I mean, really second grade or whatever. And he doesn't write. He hasn't any books. He lets other people write for him. And Jeffrey Epstein said that that's who he's interested in. He's interested in these people that don't write, that they just talk and whatever, and that people write books on them. And I mentioned that yesterday, I know, but as a teacher and as a Christian, that is like, and he even mocked Jesus. And I think even Steve Bannon had it wrong because, Jesus is God and God used his finger to write in the stone the 10 commandments. That's it. I mean, I don't know if he used his finger, but he um wrote that and they mock that. It's just really another psyop. Another psyop. And because can you imagine a society that doesn't want to write and read and express themselves? When you write, you express yourself. I love to write poetry and then to draw it out and illustrate it out and all of that. It's just such a psyop. Like I'm just going to run my mouth. I'm just going to run my mouth and not produce anything. That's wow. Anyway, okay. And I'm not saying that everyone has to uh, read and write. That's not what I'm saying. It's just he's glorifying that. My great grandmother did not know how to read and write. She came from a place and a time to the United States where women did not read and write. And it wasn't, I mean, she was the boss of the house, okay? I'm not saying she did. She had a lot of power. There wasn't a thumb on her that she didn't read and write. It's just that she knew how to cook scratch. She knew how to crochet the finest laces. She knew how to sew. So what they did, they divided um, uh, talents. That's what they did because there's only so much time in the day to learn certain things. And so my great grandfather knew like 7 languages fluently, maybe more than that. I have to ask my mom, and knew how to read and write them. And my grandmother, and so he would handle, those kind of things for the household. Um, and my great grandmother would handle um, other things that needed to be done. So it was a partnership. And yeah, so I'm not saying it's just the like the lifting it up on a pedestal, some guy that I don't know that's who he's interested in. It's just weird. It's just I don't know. He's so evil to me that I'm a little biased against Jeffrey Epstein. I'm a little biased against him. Um, okay, so let's read some of the comments. Thank you, Brooke, for coming on here to support. Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you, Laura, for your love and your prayers. Peace, the protection. Thank you so much. And she says they should have moved in ASAP. Yet Wetton, of course, leaked the source. Absolutely. And Connell Wetton, the FBI assistant special agent in charge. But I want to let you know this, that they positioned him there for um, way more than a decade and maybe longer than that. Um, in that FBI office, he was really the special agent in charge because he had gone through what, six special agents in charge, and he was still there. So, and he's the one that leaked Richard's identity to the cartel. That's what she's talking about. Two chain of commands, then Charlie Kirk and the Epstein files. Yeah, and the whole can you imagine what they did to Charlie Kirk? And it's all coming out. It's all coming out. Today, Candace Owens called for the arrest of Erica Kirk to be questioned, right? Yeah, it is. It's really, it's going to be interesting. Yeah. Freud seems to have only been interested in designing false scientific justifications for elite. Yeah, I like what you're saying because that's kind of Jeffrey Epstein, right? You know, he's just interested in false scientific justifications and even regeneration by man's scientific um, it's kind of like the joke, you want to make man, you want to play God, you can make go ahead and make man, and the man picks up the dirt, and God says, no, get your own dirt, make your own dirt, right? Make your own clay. Um, yeah, so it's kind of like that to me. They just want to create, but they're always using God, but yet they'll mock God and then fear the devil, which is a created monster. Um, 100% demonic agenda. The fallen angels that hate God and hate humanity for being made in God's image above the demons. Yes, absolutely. Demons don't feel guilt, just like, yeah, which is a flesh suited demon. Yeah. But demons are afraid. Demons are afraid, right? They gnash their teeth and they're afraid. So I don't know. I think you're such a strong woman. I find it suspicious that Candace or any alternative media are not interviewing you. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. It's well, they might have read what Bob Moore wrote, and it's such lies. It's all lies. So it's we're trying to, um, of course, recover our son's remains. That's number one. To get accountability for those who did this to our son, and then three, to earn the respect and trust of the people, right? Of the people. When you do that, because it's all about the people. We are a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And the government has exploited us, but they know that they need the people. That's why they'll tamper with votes and everything. They're trying to not need the people, right? But yeah, they need the people, and so they treat us so badly, right? It's like, why do we even pay our taxes? Why do we pay our taxes now? Come on. Explain to me. Explain to me, why we need to do this. Um, because we are a government of the people, by the people, for the people. and they know that. And they've just, we were sleeping. We were sleeping and they took advantage. Preach. Thank you. I think you're such a strong. Yes, thank you. Jenja, tell them. Tell. Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay. I just appreciate that so much, and I appreciate you coming on so late. And Rob always says, tell them that we love them, and we'll be back tomorrow, God willing. Please share and please like. Thank you. Bye bye.